Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Direct Selling Executives Forum's next session. I am so excited for our speaker today and our host walking us through this topic. When we talk about keys to maximizing adoption on direct selling technology, it's something that impacts all of us. Many times we think about new programs or new apps or new platforms, and we say, wow, that would be great in our culture. And then we think, oh man, will our people use it if we do it? And when your questions in the forum have come through about that exact topic, I had to think about who would be a great person to bring on to do that. And Kylie Mar just totally comes to mind with her role at Pampered Chef. Let me read you a bit of Kylie's bio before Omar brings her out here on the call today. Kylie was first introduced to direct selling as a young child when her mom was an Amway rep, and she even still uses the products at home today. At the age of 22, Kylie started her own direct selling career at Mary Kay as a consultant, and to supplement her income while she taught junior high school. She then joined Pampered Chef as field development manager back in 2001 and jumped over to the other side of the business in 2003 when she had 2 kids in 20 months. Holy cow, right? And decided she wanted to experience the flexibility of a field rep herself as she raised her young children. She then built her own organization, got into the experience and the joy of building a team and earning incentive trips for 6 years while being the room mom for her kids' classes, and then spent 4 years doing business development and client services for a boutique marketing firm. She returned to Pampered Chef in 2013 as a consultant business tools manager to represent the consultant voice for technologies the company built and to own technology training and adoption. You guys get why we invited Kylie? So it's starting to make sense now. One of her career highlights has been driving the initiative to develop Pampered Chef's Consultant Business Dashboard, which won the DSA's Excellence in Business Award in 2023. She's currently, as innovation manager, part of the team that develops Table, Pampered Chef's award-winning party platform. Kylie, thank you so much for coming out today. This is too much fun.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here, Ben. Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Well, we're going to jump right into our topic today. Kylie and I got to connect back in 2018 at a roundtable at the DSA and have just connected ever since. It tells you how big the world is and how small the world is. So I met Kylie first off in San Diego at a conference. We're both from Chicagoland, and we both attended the same church and didn't even know it when we lived in Chicagoland because our church was so big, it had multiple campuses. So it's just a crazy small world how connected we all are in this space. And so excited to have you on today. So with that, we're going to go ahead and start the panel, and we're going to pass it to Omar. Omar, let's get started. The call's yours.
Thank you, Ben. Welcome, Kylie. The topic today is very interesting. As Ben said, keys to maximize adoption on direct selling technology. So my first question would be, many times we hear executives share the challenges they have experienced in launching new technology to their sales reps. For your peers who are seeking to maximize adoption of new tools and platforms, let's jump right in and talk what not to do. What pitfalls would you invite your peers to avoid?
Sure. I'm happy to talk to that. So one of the pitfalls that I really want people to be aware of is assuming assuming that just because a new tool is available, that consultants will know how to use it, that they'll
Mhm.
understand the value, and that they'll choose this tool
Yes.
over what they're doing already. So,
Mm.
I think a company can see the need for a new tool or a technology. You might have done your ROI and you've decided this is the way to go, and often rightfully so, but because it may really address business challenges that are key to
Mhm.
your team or provide a way to grow sales. But until the field believes that taking the time to learn this tool or learn this process is beneficial to their business, you're likely to see slow adoption. You might see adoption from your early adopters, right? We love our early adopters, the
Sure.
people who love embracing technologies or change, but the rest will often be slow to come along. It might be an amazing tool in and of itself, but they won't invest the time and effort to change their processes and behaviors until they see it's worth it for them on a personal level.
Mm.
So I think
That's
you
so
also
good.
want to distinguish between those new technologies that are must-dos for consultants and then those that are optional.
Mhm. That is a really important part to keep in mind that Kylie pointed out, gang, is that many times it's easy to forget what are they already doing? And knowing that time is the limited resource, is that when you're introducing new stuff and they're already doing XYZ to build their business, is this something that's just a little tweak to what they're already doing that, they're going to easily adopt and it's, that makes sense and they do it? Or is it going to be a whole new behavior change that's going to take 3, 5, 4, months to get this implemented across your program? Maybe it's going to take a year to actually have new behavior the way you want it. That's a
Yeah.
really good thought, Kylie.
So, I think, and when you're thinking about those, is this a must do or is this optional? I think
Mhm.
you're really going to need a different approach based on that too, right? Like, an example of a new technology that was a must do for our field a couple of years ago, we moved to a new shipping method called Direct
Mm.
Ship Now 3 years ago, right in the height of the pandemic. It's super exciting for everybody, but it was actually perfect timing. And it allowed us to ship orders as soon as we received them, even before the
Huh.
party closes. Well, this was a fantastic benefit for customers and for consultants. There's just no downside, but it did require consultants to learn new technology and to change some business practices to support it. Well, for
Mhm.
this change, we knew that we needed to do a few things. We needed to communicate the need for the change so that it made sense for their business and that change management would be smoother. And then we needed to make sure that they were clear on the functionality changes. And we needed to help them anticipate what might look different in their business as a result of the change so they could start thinking it through. But
Exactly.
when it come down to the actual training, it was very straightforward. We
Mhm.
offered 2 webinars, we provided the materials, but it was an easier adoption because they pretty much had to take that route. They had to
Mhm.
learn the technology.
Mandatory.
So that's a little different than when you have something that's voluntary for them, which can be very different.
Wow, amazing thoughts. Hmm.
Yeah, I'm just
Go
curious.
ahead,
Let's
Ben.
let's pause for a second. I want to dig into that thought of voluntary. So when you think about something that's a voluntary path, right? What's worked in your mind in that world? Because I think there's a lot of people who are watching this live stream right now in this podcast who are in that same boat where they've rolled out a number of voluntary initiatives, and the mandatory stuff we get. It's like, hey, hey, if you're doing this business, you're gonna have to do it this way. Okay, so
Right.
eventually they get it. Like we had a client make some big changes in their world this last month where it's like, hey, they were a free to join company. Now they're a mandatory admin fee. So it's like, hey, if you want to stay being a rep, you need to pay your admin fee or your commission check isn't coming, And so like that was a mandatory thing. It was really easy for their culture to say, hey, if you want to continue in this business, as a brand partner, you need to go take the test, pay your fee, because this is how it's structured moving forward. But then there's all these optional things we do from time to time. And what have
Yeah.
you found, Kylie, is the path to bringing out those optional initiatives to the field in what's worked the best in your culture? And this is a question I think a lot of people are asking themselves.
Sure. Well, I think, with a new tool or a platform that's voluntary, you really do need to be prepared to approach things differently. I think you need to spend more time on the why because
Mhm.
they can choose to buy into the benefits or not. So you
Yeah.
really need to support the efforts with the with them, right? What's in it for me? Why
Yeah.
would I choose to spend time learning a new platform and changing great processes if my perception is that what I'm doing is already working for me?
Mm.
And so it needs to be worth the investment of time and energy on my part as a consultant, right? And I've heard leaders from other direct selling companies say that they'll implement something maybe super valuable like a contact management platform,
Sure.
but you might still see low adoption. And I think it's because oftentimes consultants won't take the time unless they're really bought into that vision of what this is going to do for them personally, professionally. Do they see the financials of why this will
Mhm.
benefit them? Do they see the
Mhm.
time savings? What is it that's really going to make a difference? And so I think with those voluntary tools, you need to do more of a PR campaign almost
Yeah.
and provide over the top opportunities for training.
Such a good point, Kylie. There's another party plan company that's a large one out of Minnesota, and their founder is actually a huge fan of Pampered Chef. By the way, she talks about Pampered Chef constantly, but they're smaller than Pampered Chef. They were a client of mine for years, and when we rolled out some new technology there up in Minnesota, the one thing that I thought was so good with the optional tech that their marketing team did is not their PR campaign extended into these leadership one-on-ones where they literally knew like, okay, not only do we need, to do the PR campaign of the why behind social media sharing and this new contact manager, we also need to go to our, rank 6s and above who are leading all their own trainings. And we need to go book, 18 webinars where those 47 people pick which one you're at, and come, but, Julia is going to be there to walk through the why with each of you. And it was when those 46 women, when their mindset shifted and they were saying, oh, wait a minute. Okay. Jackie on my team, who's never been successful before, is going to win now because of this thing. That's when we had enough momentum to really make a difference for that business. And so I've seen that. What you've said is very, very true, is that it's both getting, testimonials from your top leaders of why they enjoy using it, what the real return is, and then painting the picture of what it makes possible for the newest person on the team. That's the thing I always remember as leaders. There's a lot of leaders who are kind of like, hey, I know I'm not doing the duplicatable thing, but it works for me. And I always push back on that and say, well, stop making it all about you, Mr. and Mrs. Leader. Like all the stuff we're rolling out corporates for each new person who comes into this business to be able to be successful. So can you take a look at it from that perspective? And when people can be a fan of how we help the newest person who's never done this business before win, we can get the right building blocks in place to create something duplicatable. And that's what you guys did that with Table. And I know that was something you wanted to ask about, just the learnings from that. So Omar, let me pass it to you. Let's get in the Table. That's good stuff. We'll go back to you, Omar.
Yes, I was just about to go in up there. Thank you very much, both of you guys. Recently at Pempershift, your team internally launched a Table platform. What did you learn from the rollout, and what would you say was a win, and what did you learn?
Yeah, well, Table is a great example of one of those optional tools, right? Because this is a whole party platform that they can either choose to use and implement into what they're already doing or not. And with something optional, again, you've got to do double duty, because first of all, you've got a voluntary army of direct sellers, and then you've got a platform that's voluntary as well. So you really do need to do more. Table was built as a platform that could work outside of social media. So if you're not familiar with it, it's a party platform that allows consultants to host virtual parties online outside of social media. And it was an alternative that allowed consultants to work outside the restrictions of Facebook and still run a party online. It also allowed us to address a key need for our customers, which is a great content and shopping experience, which they often weren't getting. And I'd say we learned some great things from the initial rollout a couple of years ago. First, we partnered with our field closely on building the tool to begin with. So, as you're looking at what are some of the building blocks that make something successful, the first one is, I'm going to talk about partnership. I'm going to talk about it now, and I'll probably talk about it later. But partnership with the field, like you said, Ben, getting your field leaders on board and is really important. The actual platform was built with our field needs in mind. We took feedback from our leaders, actually not even just leaders. When we do interviews with consultants to find out what they need from a usability standpoint, we do interviews at all levels. We'll have new consultants, we'll have casual consultants, and we'll have leaders, so that when we're building something,
I love that
for any of them. And it's really important because your field leaders are thinking, well, I'm doing 20 parties a month, and the average person is like, well, I do a party every other month. Or I'm brand new to this. How do we make something that can work
different
for
goals?
all of them?
Yeah, different goals.
Absolutely. So it was really built with our field needs in mind. And I'd say they responded really well to that initial rollout. They could see the benefits right away. They felt heard and seen by what we developed. So we had kind of an enthusiastic core of those early adopters, and many of them are still running their parties exclusively on Table. And they've really learned how to maximize their bookings and recruiting by leveraging the platform. So we saw a lot of success there. But I'd say we also had some learnings. So yes, we had some wins, but we also learned that in order for the platform to really deliver on its value across our field organization, we needed to find a way to deliver Table in a way that make more sense with whatever style of party they want to do.
Because they're so different.
It needed to be sustainable. So, I think how many of us have launched a new tool or program with a lot of fanfare, right? But then
Mhm.
in your interest can get lost among those other day-to-day business tasks and new product. And even if a new tool is valuable, it can really get lost in the noise, like you were talking about earlier, Ben. But we knew that table delivered value for its users, and there could be more widespread benefit when consultants added it to their business. So we redesigned and actually relaunched Table this year, actually last week, so
All
that
right.
it can better work alongside social media parties instead of just feeling like a standalone platform. So we've really
Mhm.
learned a lot about what do consultants need to make this more sustainable long term. So how can you really look at, and we had to look at it very differently. We had to stand back from something we had created, and you kind of have to let go of that pride of ownership and be willing to say, what do we need to change in order to have more people take advantage of this? And so we've really met consultants where they are, and recognize the
Yeah.
need for them to sustain that social network and build this in. And now, we're finding that putting these things together makes it feel more doable for consultants. Now it feels like it has expanded possibilities for them instead of making them feel like they have to choose one over the other.
You know what I love about what you shared that I think is so important is is that you're treating different segments of your consultants differently because they're not all here for the same intentions. Like you're recognizing something that many people who even watch this show miss is like, hey, all your consultants aren't the same persona with the same goals. There is. So if we rewind to what Kylie said there, she said, "Oh, we have the person who's going to do a party every other month. We have the person who's bringing that casual promoter. I love that word. Hey, they're just casual, right? They're not. This isn't a business to them. They're just having fun. Like they're just making pizza, using the Pampered Chef pizza cutter, eating the stuff. They're having a good time. Like, hey, check out my pizza cutter. Like, there's the casual gal, and then there's this brand new person who's like, okay, what do I want out of Pampered Chef in my life? And then you got the serious business builder who's just 20 parties a month in, month out, retail it, going after it. And many times, as you're listening in your business, there are segments of promoters with different goals. And you'll hear even what Kylie said, even though they did that up front with, oh, people have different goals. She then realized, oh, people like to do it different ways. TikTok wasn't even a thing when Kylie and the team invented Table, right? So, and then we're like, oh, wait a minute, people like to do TikTok stuff. And then over here, people like to do Facebook Live. And over here, people like to interact in this, the next thing that we're all gonna, this virtual world that's gonna take over, right? We'll see which one it is, right? I don't know. Everyone throwing their chips in a hat to see who's gonna win the Web 3.0 thing, And so what we're learning is in this world, there's a lot of people who come to you that are already active in certain congregations of people. So the best way I like to think about it is they're already active in a certain congregation. And if you tell them you have to change all your behavior and come over here and do it our way, you'll miss out on some of the quicker wins you could have if you said, hey, the way you're already going, here's how we can help you be better there. And so if you're hearing that from what Kylie's saying, that's why the communication and the training and the vision of what you deploy is so important, because you want to think about the paths of each of those and let them know we hear you and we were thinking about you. And here's what we did to help. It's kind of like Kylie's role is kind of like being Q in James Bond. She's like, I know what your mission is, and so I put this together to help you be successful, right? That's what Kylie is sharing from the corporate office. That's truly what we are as a corporate team. As we think about what we do, we have a volunteer army of people who are passionate about our products or services that are out there promoting, but they're volunteers. They don't have to do this. They could do lots of things to make money in their life, and yet they choose to promote us because maybe their why, it's fun. They all have different reasons. It's not the same reason for each one. And so when we see ourselves in a relevant framework of what our real role is, the more successful we can be. And so I love that thought. I love that thought. Kyle, as we wrap today, there's a question on the panel I want to make sure we get to. And it's always about, we always have this person. I want to, before Omar asks it, I want to frame who this person is. We have the overload when we collect all of our panel questions. We always have the overloaded executive, the one who has already is already being asked to put 30 initiatives on their plate, and they're listening to us today and saying, okay, so what am I going to do? And so, Omar, let's go there. I want us to spend the remainder of our time
Yes.
here because it is a good portion of the folks who are listening today. Go ahead.
Absolutely, Ben. Thank you very much for the amazing insight, you guys. Also, for the busy executives, as you said, that may have been listening on the go. What one thing do you want to make sure that they hear today as they
Mhm.
work to improve adoption on their platforms?
Partnership. It's
Mm.
partnership, and it's, I think one of the reasons that this rollout is really been going wonderfully, really smoothly, and one of the key reasons is that our consultants felt heard. As you heard us say earlier, the way the platform was developed and designed, and also in the way we responded when some of them were having resistance to it.
Mhm.
And so that felt like partnership. But then we're also partnering with our field in terms of we had partnered with them in terms of the announcement. We have partnered with them in terms of the rollout. So for instance, we actually got our national executive directors on calls early in the spring so we could start going just individually. We called it a road show. We're going to do a road show with
Mhm.
our top field leaders and find out, show them what's coming. What are their thoughts? What are the challenges? What are they excited about? What are the risks? What are we going to have to consider with training? And we got them on board and really listened to them early on, so that those things could contribute to a smooth announcement and launch for the field. And so we partnered, starting with our top leaders at the beginning, like I said earlier in the year. We partnered then with field leaders when we announced this from stage last month, and then when we did breakouts for the whole field. It wasn't just home office talking at them. We partnered with field leaders to say, this is how I'm going to use this. This is what I'm doing in my business. And then we're continuing that now, really working with the field leaders. We're using them we have two consultants who are going to be sharing testimonials about why should their peers attend the webinars. So it's not just
Yeah.
having tons of webinars, but it's just, here's not only why you should use the platform, but here's why you should even attend the training. So getting them excited
Mhm.
about all these different points. And then as really like our PR calendar goes into the fall now, it's going to be, how do we get those testimonials of people who are having this early success with this newer approach? And again, maybe somebody who was resistant to it, what has been the deciding factor for them, so that we can really help more consultants make that leap.
Yeah, I love that you said someone who's resistant to it. As we wrap up today on this session, those skeptics in your field are you want to hold those skeptics close. I love skeptics because when you
Yeah.
win over the skeptic and they share their testimonial, the whole field's like, wait a minute, Joanna's doing this? Like
Yes.
she's a skeptic. And that's the best. If it's always just we say the woo guy or the woo girl who's like, whoa, who's
Yeah.
doing whatever it is, the field's like, wow, no one cares that Tom's doing this. He does everything they
Yeah.
say to do. But when you can win over the skeptics in your leadership team and they can be your voice to your PR calendar, to your field, that means something to your field gang. The field doesn't want hype or anything else. They want to know just that, they see through what the agenda is or anything else when they can feel you're authentically listening and putting together real systems to serve them, and you're sharing the why. That type of adoption is real. And you announce it when it's ready. As we go today, gang, I know some of you, I've seen this over and over again, so I gotta just say it. Some of you announce really cool initiatives way before they're ready, and your field goes on hold because you say, hey, this great thing's coming, and then you're not ready for months, and they're all thinking about that great thing you announced that's not ready yet. And so one of the things we didn't get to today, that just as a reminder, the client, there's clients who win big in the space, but they don't let the cat out of the bag too soon. In these PR campaigns, they're doing it all. You'll hear, and then Kylie, she announced it when it was ready, when it's ready to rock. It should go without saying, but yet I see that mistake happen all the time in our space. And I don't want us to end the day without it because it's just totally critical. Kylie, there are a couple really great takeaways today. The listening to the different groups of people inside of the system, this understanding with your framework. Is this thing mandatory? Is it optional? And how are we going to treat that when we roll it out? And then getting that, hey, our field has very different goals. And so how do we communicate the why, just like Simon Sinek says, and start with why? How do we communicate the why and allow people to really see the value? are all just amazing pieces. I just want to thank you so much for, I know as we were putting together time for today, it's Camera Chef depends on you big time. I know you got one of the busiest schedules of anyone I know on the corporate side. And so thank you for taking a moment to come out and do this session with Omar and I. We're super grateful for the time together today. For those of you that are brand new to the DSEF, maybe you're listening on YouTube or you're on the Spotify channel. If you haven't yet joined the DSEF, it's a free invite-only community for direct selling executives. To get an invite, go to www.directsellingexecutiveforum.com or go on LinkedIn and type in Direct Selling Executive Forum and apply. It's a forum where more ideas just like this are shared amongst direct selling executives, and we're all able to help each other out. Thank you, Kylie. Next time you're in Chicago, let us know so we can host you. Total pleasure to have you on today. And Omar, thank you so much for hosting today. All right, everybody.
Thank you very much.
You got it.
Really enjoyed
Have an
it. Thank
amazing
you.
day. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
You got
Bye.
it. Bye for now.